All right, Black Ops fam. The purpose of today's video is twofold. We want to give a continuation to our challengers who just finished their 48-day challenge. And in that challenge, they had a GSD task, which was called Get Shit Done. The goal of that task was to move the needle of life in relationships, work, and self. And the other thing is to give you, the Black Ops membership who didn't do the challenge, a pep talk for 2022. Funny story, I shot this video already, 40 minutes, spilled my heart and soul into it, only to find out that there was an audio glitch, only to find out after some interrogation that my 4-year-old switched one of the plugs in here earlier this week. And it's a plug you never think a 4-year-old would switch. And I didn't catch it when I was checking the recordings and checking. And so I am going to reshoot this and try to bring the fire like I did earlier. And maybe that's God's way of saying some of the stuff I shared was a little too personal, but I promise I'll get a little personal and make myself look a little bit humble here. All right, so let's rock it. So main mission, I want to get you, the challengers, the continuation of this GSD goal setting, task management kind of platform going, and also for you, the membership base, to teach you what we were doing, how it was beneficial, and how to take that into your 2022. 2022 is just a calendar year. It's a way of tracking time, but it's an easy way to, create a date where we can set some kind of as a catalyst for some change in our lives. So what it comes down to in the challenge, they had 5 different tasks every day, but one of those tasks was 20 minutes or longer, no less, of something you were doing that was going to improve your life in the category of self, in the category of relationships, and in the category of work. And the idea was to stack small wins over and over again and to build up bigger wins and to let them see that at the end of a week or a month, how much they actually got accomplished and kind of the journey of that. And we had amazing reviews and some great breakthroughs with our challengers and the ways they kind of went about getting those tasks done and kind of getting creative with it. And that's kind of what I want to share with you today. So I've done a lot of business mentorship over the years. And when I first started, number one, I didn't want to do it because I felt like it was weak to get help. I felt like I wanted to achieve it on my own. I was proud and I wanted to be successful in business without help, outside help, and figure all this stuff out on my own, which there's no manual for. You basically figure out every day you got to figure something out. So anyway, I jumped into it, and kind of what I've learned over the years of working with celebrities and all that good nonsense is that it all comes back to me. And that's what I want to present to you guys, is that it all comes back to you, that you have the power to change your life and you have the power to put actions in place that are going to make that change occur. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And I'm going to challenge you a little bit, and I'm going to call you out on some of your bullshit by calling myself out on my own bullshit. I can only speak from my experiences, which is what I do when I talk to people, and I'm not perfect. So let's start with that just right off the bat. I'm flawed, and to improve my life, I have to work on my weaknesses. I have to face my fears. And that's something that we're going to address today, is how to face your fears and to kind of explain what our anxieties and stresses look like. So there's things in our lives that stress us out. There's things in our lives that make us scared. There's things in our lives that we procrastinate on. There's things in our lives that bring us anxieties. And what we want to do is we want to put some actions into place to go after those things. And the other thing is there's things in your life you've wanted to do that you've never done. And that's what this GSD task can come into play, where you can actually start to build and work towards that. Kind of where this all came from was, and a personal story really quick, is in the Marine Corps, it's tough. It's a tough life. And for the first 3 years, I joined when I was 18. I kind of got crapped on, I got shit on. And that's just part of the journey of being a young Marine. And I was also quiet. I was raised to work hard, keep my head down, and to do things to the best of my ability and finish the job. And people took advantage of that. They would take advantage of my work to make themselves look better without ever giving me credit. And so I went along with that for 3 years, and I was kind of like always getting beat up on, not physically, but whatever. And then I just made a decision that I was going to make a change. And I was like, no, I'm not going through it like this, and I was coming up on my first re-enlistment. So they're in 4-year sets. And I was like, I'm just not going to go forward like this. I'm going to make a change. And so what I started to do was I started attacking my fears. I was very scared of public speaking. I was very scared of, huge challenges. And so I started taking on all these different roles. I started volunteering for anything my unit was offering that was kind of like leadership billet or challenging. I became in charge of the drill team for, the flag bearers you see at NFL games. I jumped into that. They needed a martial arts instructor, so I volunteered for that. These were all things I had no experience in, and were scary because the buck falls with you. You know what I mean? Like if it fails, it's on you. I started seeking leadership roles. I started seeing what it would take to get promoted, the education I needed to take. And I just started doing all that stuff. And I started keep pushing myself out there, throwing myself out there, volunteering for things. And through doing that, I started to change the course of my career and I started to achieve success. Now, with that success came hate, right? And so it's not easy. You're trying to better yourself. You're trying to do it for the right reason. And other people, that's going to make them uncomfortable because you're breaking the mold. You're challenging mediocrity. And if someone's mediocre and they're living comfortably, your success is going to offend them. It's going to threaten them. It's going to threaten their way of life. And you have to be aware of that. So with these changes and with bettering yourself, you may lose friends. With these changes and with bettering yourself, you may lose the respect of family members, but that doesn't change the way you respect them. That doesn't change the way you think of them. It's just, you can't let those negative influences or the negative messaging hold you back from becoming your true you, which is your potential. You need to chase your true potential, not let it die on the couch. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And I was just going to share that experience with you, that by making that change, by attacking my fears, I changed the course of my career. I achieved things I never thought I would. I took on roles I never thought I would, especially as a drill instructor. And I was able to train over 600 Marines and some who died in combat. And, for me, it's one of the greatest accomplishments of my life. And I took from that and I took it into business. And one thing I had a choice was I was working at a job and it was like, I wasn't using my tools. I wasn't using what I was really my true potential. I was comfortable, making a salary and I had benefits, but I wasn't doing what I knew I was capable of. And so that wasn't okay with me. And so then I went down a whole new world of chasing into and jumping into things that I was terrified of and scared of. And, there was no safety net for. So this stuff works. This stuff will work for you. And it'll go as far as you are willing to take it. Stepping out of your comfort zone is how progress happens. We have that sticker at the gym that says comfort is the enemy of progress or something to that nature. But you got to get uncomfortable, guys, to really make a significant change in your life. And some of you are like, well, I don't want to make a significant change in your life. And that may be the case. So either you've turned me off already, or you're going to listen at the end and maybe we can make some headway with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an actual tool that you can use to jump into 2022, to start putting task management into your weeks, and then to start doing checkups on yourself, because that's really what it's going to come down to, is checking up on yourself, taking some time to check in with yourself, as we say. But before we do that, you have to have a serious self-assessment, okay? So if you honestly are in pain right now, or you're suffering in silence, or you're procrastinating on things you need, or your relationships aren't what they should be, or maybe your father, you haven't had a good relationship with your father, your mother, your sister, your brother, your friend, your dog, whatever it is if there's room for improvement in your life, if there's things that you're hiding from to stay comfortable, we can work on those things and we can put tasks into our week that can actually put us on the path to make a change in those fields. All right, guys. So again, we're looking at work, we're looking at relationships, and we're looking at self. We're going to keep it 3 categories because that keeps it simple. When it comes to goal setting, and goal setting can be very, what's the word I'm looking for? Challenging, but overwhelming for people to think about. I'll tell you two pieces of advice. So when I first started with business mentorship, they were like, what's your 30, 60, 90-day goal? And I was like, I have no idea, bro. I was like, I shoot from the hip and I work my butt off and I make it happen. That's how things go down. I can't even think that far ahead because I don't even have the money for tomorrow. And I can't think of that, because if I think of that, it's going to make me so stressed that I won't be able to finish today. So that was my goal back then. Now I've learned how to set 30, 60, 90-day goals, and I've learned how to pattern some things in my life that achieve success. But for me, I would argue that that's not necessary. Now, for some of you that are very goal-oriented, reward-oriented, you go right on ahead. But I'm arguing for those of you who maybe have struggled with that that's not necessary for you to achieve greatness. You need to set daily goals, weekly goals. You need to write them on paper. You need to be checking them off. And through that journey, you will be achieving much greater goals. You will be receiving new opportunities that you can't even dream of, probably. But that ain't going to happen if you don't make a change. It will not happen if you don't get uncomfortable. We have to get uncomfortable to initiate real change. And to put this into your daily lives, like, well, how does this fit into me? Maybe I'm not an entrepreneur. Maybe I'm not, whatever the case may be. Well, we all have jobs, or we're all self-employed, or we're all in relationships, whether it's whatever type of relationship you're in. There's always room for improvement. You can always go to your boss and say, I'm not challenged, I want more. Or go to your boss and say, how can I bring you more value? A boss will like to hear that, I promise you. Not being stagnant, right? Always trying to go further. Well, I'm already far in my career, Antonio, and everything's great. Well, are you bringing up those underneath you? Are you going outside of work to do things that are purpose driven? There's always room for improvement in our lives, no matter what socioeconomic level you're at, no matter what challenges you have. And it's key to remember that no one else has it easy. If you think everyone else has it easier than you, you're losing already. It's loserville. And people around you who have that mentality, you need to get them out of your life, because they are never going to make you feel satisfied. They're never going to encourage you or motivate you. And unfortunately, sometimes you have to lose friendships, and you have to cut off people that are holding you back in life to your true potential. So a self-assessment. Write down everything. Write down everything that's scary to you right now. Write down everything that you're procrastinating on right now. Look, if it matters to you, it matters to you. So write it down. Right? I'm not judging you on any of it. I don't need to see any of it, and neither does anyone else. This is for you to write down about yourself. Put that fear on paper. Put those insecurities on paper. Put that self-doubt on paper. The procrastination and the laziness on paper. And then stop listening to your own bullshit, right? That's what I need to tell myself all the time. Don't be your inner bitch. Don't listen to your inner bitch. Your inner bitch is going to tell you you're not good enough. You can't do it. Shut up. Don't say it, right? Give up. You're not good enough. You never were. And so what we need to do is we need to write all these things down, and then we need to write out how it plays out, right? Okay, if this is my fear, what actually happens if it happens? What action happens after that? And once we start writing those things out, it most likely doesn't end up with you serving a lifetime sentence in jail, right? Now, serious illness, you could argue, but we can also, choose how we handle a serious illness that comes into our life. I weirdly have already reflected on that, how I would respond if I inflicted, or it's not inflicted, if I was seriously ill, how am I going to handle that? And I'm starting to have that conversation with myself of how I would handle it and how I would choose to live out the rest of my life. I've watched people I love die slowly, and I watched their grace in the way they did that. And it's challenging, but it's beautiful at the same time. And we need to think about our death. Memento mori, look it up. You're going to die. All of us are going to die. And at that, when it happens, like, of course you can die tomorrow, right? We can't control that. But let's play bigger, let's play longer game. So if you're going to die, most likely you're going to reflect when you're starting to pass, and you're in your deathbed, whatever the case, or you're on your journey towards death. You're going to be looking back at your life, and you're going to be doing a self-assessment at that time, I promise you. And so what are we doing right now? We have the power right now to change that assessment at the end, right? The actual results that we find about ourselves. Right now, we can push ourselves out of mediocrity, and we can go start helping others to do the same, right? Because just when we level up, then we have to spread it. We have to share it. Okay. And if this message wasn't for you, you wouldn't even be listening right by now anyway. It would already be off. Okay. So that's the challenge. So we start with the self-assessment. Just write it all down. Me and my mom are fighting, right? Write it down. Why are we fighting? What do I have to do to fix it? If it can't be fixed, what could I do to even address it, right? Start doing those things. These are the things you can put into your weekly schedule. I'm texting mom on Monday. I'm calling her on Wednesday, and I'm going to go visit her on Friday. Now, she might not answer Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, but you now know you did everything you could to fix that situation. And then after that, all you can be is empathetic to her. And this can apply to anything in your life. So once we do our self-assessment, now we know all the stuff that's really bugging us. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I got a lot that bugs me about myself. I've achieved a good amount of things in life, but then, when I stopped getting uncomfortable in those elements of life, the fear came back, the anxieties came back. Like, I gained my fear of height again, but I had gotten rid of it in the Marine Corps. That's just an observation, but these are the type of things that you'll learn as you get older. And then for those of you that are older, that are struggling with purpose, this is essential. You need to go look at this self. So you need to go write all this stuff down and challenge yourself, especially if you're doing well financially, right? Because everything seems right. But I would challenge all of us to say that we all have room for improvement. And so once we do the self-assessment, what you can do from there is you can start writing down tasks for your week. 3 tasks, just 3 to start. You can write more if you want, but 3 is a good start. And those are in the 3 categories: self, relationship, and work. And then this is a GSD task that is going to move the needle. So this is outside of your normal routine. This isn't like walking the dog. This isn't like writing the report that is expected to be written, right? The dog expects to be walked. This isn't anything. It has to be outside of your routine. That's going to bring improvement. And if you don't know what that is, that's why you need to self-assess yourself. You need to assess your life, because you're all intelligent. You all can do this, right? You just look at it, right? Be true to yourself. If you're not true to yourself, that's going to be your biggest obstacle. And that's the biggest weakness you need to work on. For me personally, you know, there's a ton of work I need to do on myself. And that's why I'm always trying to be real with you, because I'm just telling you, I'm right here on the journey. I'm just an outside perspective for you who's learned tasks and different things over the years that I can kind of push towards you to challenge yourself while I'm doing this all the time. The more I step outside my comfort zone, the more I achieve. It doesn't happen when I want to. A lot of times it's much longer. And that's why I want to teach you something, the next thing, which is 2 different types of patience in urgency. You want to be urgent in the micro. So you want to have a sense of urgency in the small stuff, and you want to have patience in the bigger picture. If I had have kind of like programmed myself to think that as I grew this business, which by the way, I grew it from a garage, an ab mat, and a kettlebell into the 6,000 square foot facility you see now, with 3 locations out of thin air. There was nothing, and now there's what we have now. If you don't think that faith, optimism, hard work, never quit, entrepreneurship, vision, creation, you can achieve whatever you want if you set out to do it and you put in the steps and you don't give up. I mean, it's just the truth. And so that's, you know, our story is just a representation of that, honestly. And it was so difficult that, you know, the only way to get through was to have a credo of not quitting. The only way you lose is if you don't get back up. There's always going to be life will kick your ass. And if it hasn't yet, it's going to one day. It's going to pick you up and slam you on your head through family death, sickness, losing your job, who knows what. But I promise you it will happen, and you will be humbled. And so if you don't think that's the case, be careful, because it does happen. And hardening yourself through task management, through getting outside of your comfort zone. And when you do that, you're going to lose, you're going to fail. But when you lose and you fail, you have an opportunity to get back up and to keep going forward. And that's where the magic happens. That's when you start hardening yourself. That's when you start pushing yourself towards what's called unbreakable, an unbreakable point. I'm not totally unbreakable, but I'm pretty close because of how many times I've been smashed in my life. And that's why I made the credo, never quit and never give up. There's a lot to the story I haven't told you, but I've had a lot of falls and I've got it smashed a lot. And it's crazy, but I'm still here. And I tell myself, just get back up and keep going. And what happens? I go through dark phases, and then the positivity and good things happen. And then I'm like, man, why aren't you need to believe this every day. You need to believe in this every day. So that's what I'm kind of throwing at you guys. I know it's a lot, but in 2022, you have an opportunity, you know, and the big thing was to have the challenge end before 2022, because 2022 is cliche. Why wait till the new year? Let's get the momentum, take it through our holidays, enjoy this time, reach out to family members, friends, handle these anxieties and stresses and fears, take off pressure off losing pounds and body composition, search deeper inside yourself, find out who you truly are, and celebrate that person. And then the pressure is you're enlightened to it. You've removed yourself from the system, and now you start to see. When I started to realize that people who hurt me were only in pain themselves and they were just putting that shit on me because I'm kind, it was a game changer. And it's going to be a lifelong journey, but now I see it in action. They start bitching at me, they start putting their shit on me, and I'm looking at them, and they're kind of like moving side to side or darting, and I'm like, what's going on with them? What's going on in their life? What's going on that they're going through pain that they're putting on me? And that's not easy. That's difficult to handle that. It's difficult to burden that. But I know for me personally, that's kind of my calling in life. I don't know why it sucks, but My calling is to take the hits and to not react the wrong way, to be empathetic and to try to lead after it and to lead them through it. But it's been painful. It's been a painful process. So, you know, the deep dive is essential, guys. That's the only way you're ever going to make a real change. The mentorship I spent money on, it all comes back down to this. You know everything about yourself. And then you know, if you really go into why it happens or what happened in your life, it's just going to come back to the messaging you're sending yourself, right? So there's outside influences that hurt you. The only way to overcome all that is to have that conversation with yourself, because it's really those instances and those words that you're replaying to yourself and believing in. And so if you can overcome that, you then realize it's all made up and that's not who you are. And that's where the craziness lies. And that's a big step to take, but it is possible. And so the first element of that is being honest with yourself and writing it all down and facing your fears. So we're going to give you a tool that you can take forward, and it's called the weekly review. Essentially what this is a spreadsheet where you plan out, say we start from day one. We don't have any tasks done right now. So we're going to start with the following week. We're going to plan, or the week we're about to go into. You're going to plan 3 tasks for that week in the 3 categories we spoke of. And those are your GSD tasks. Now, again, if you want to do bigger goal setting before that, put that at the top of the spreadsheet of big things you want to achieve. And then you layer in GSD tasks to work yourself towards those bigger goals, then that's great. But excuse me, if you're just starting, I'm sure that got caught on mic. If you're just starting, you can just start with just three daily tasks, 3 weekly tasks, and get those small wins, get them done. And then what you do is, once you knock them out and you get to your next weekly review, you go through a couple of questions. So you review the week we had, the previous week, and you said, what did I accomplish? And you write it out. Did you get your 3 tasks done? But that's your opportunity to write down everything you got accomplished. Because what's happening is you're changing your programming. You're going to start becoming task-oriented, task management based, because you're going to be excited to write it down the following week. So you're going to start doing more than just that basic 3. But the bigger thing for me personally, as someone who never really does this kind of stuff, you're then going to write, how does it feel to accomplish that? And that's where you need to celebrate. So I'm not used to that, right? I'm like, what's the next couple tests I didn't get done? Or I focus on what I didn't get done. But taking time to write how I feel about what I actually accomplished and letting that pen go and starting to celebrate and starting to become proud of myself and starting to realize how much I'm getting done, that was pretty cool for me. And it was not magic, but I could tell something was going on. There was a change occurring. After that, you're going to write what didn't get accomplished. So you write that down, and then you write why not. And what the purpose of that is to show you that it doesn't matter. It's not that big of a deal. Even if it is a big deal, it's not that big of a deal. Someone said, like, the stuff that stressed you out last week, do they stress you out right now? Right? Those stressors you were facing last week, and if it came to be, does it still stress you out now? And 9 times out of 10, it's not. Those stress, you're not even stressing about that stuff now. You've moved on to new stressors, right? Which means the stressors you're currently facing probably aren't that big of a deal either, because next week you're not going to be focusing on them. So the goal of that is to remove some of the pressure of not getting stuff done. And then you write, when will I do it? And then I guarantee you'll be more motivated to knock that out super quick in the next week to get that crap out of your life, right? But there's nothing wrong with continuing tasks that take longer to do. My advice would be to start with small victories so you get some wins under your belt and get some confidence building. And then once you're done that, you just plan the following week. And that is your now weekly assessment of yourself. You're checking in with yourself. You're getting wins and victories. You're tracking task management. And again, even if you don't plan 30, 60, 90-day goals, guess what's going to be happening? You're going to be on a steady incline. The people around you are not going to know what's going on. You're going to be winning. And when people try to stop you with negativity, they can't change your weekly progress. They can't change all the tasks you've already accomplished and won on. And once you start working on your relationships, you're going to have to handle those situations different. You're going to have to not react with emotion and aggressiveness. You're going to have to sit back and be calm and be enlightened and be zenned out. And that's going to be challenging, but it's a journey. When I started listening to audiobooks in my car on entrepreneurship and betterment, I remember people like driving around, beeping at each other and stuff like that. I'm like, bro, I'm in here doing work. I'm in here improving myself. I don't even know what you guys are, the hell is going on in your lives. You know, like you can beep and honk and yell at each other all you want. I'm no longer in that world. I'm in the world of improvement and betterment. And so when some negative little slime ball comes in your life and tries to take you down, yes, we're empathetic, so we're going to take care of them. but they're not powerful enough to knock you out of your path. Okay. And so it's a great calling because now you need to be better. You need to be the bigger man and woman. You need to be accountable. Hold yourself accountable. You want to really level up? Everything's your fault. Hold yourself accountable. As a boss or whatever, or you want to boss your life, then everything's your fault. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Hey, I'm not preaching to you. I go through this too. I'm not perfect. I'm not like these other guys that act like they're perfect or whatever, or, you know, barking all this crap to you. I'm right in the trenches with you. It's daily, it's weekly, and it's yearly. All right. So that's the weekly review. If you get away from it, no big deal, because you know it's there. If you struggle with anxiety on Sunday nights, you struggle with stress, procrastination, you're stuck, you're feeling stuck. You don't feel like you're reaching your potential. No one understands you. No one listens to you. No one respects you. Or you're holding all the burden of everyone. Everyone relies on you. You need help. You need an aid. You need a tool to show you just how good you're doing or to challenge you to do more. And that's what this is. All right, guys. So this video hopefully brought some value to you. It's a little different than the first one I shot, and I did the best I could to try to keep it passionate. I was a little, drained when that happened. But hopefully, there was some value here for you. Hopefully my thoughts and words went together for you to understand. But I think this is it, guys. People pay thousands and millions on therapy, on drugs, on everything else, alcohol. I think what it comes down to is really being honest to ourselves, writing things down, facing it, and then trying to become better. But more importantly, and most importantly, is we do this together, because it is challenging. Life is tough. It's harsh. It's rough, but it's also awesome. And it's really cool when you are supported by a group of people who are on the same path as you. So it was essential for me to get this message out there, because if there is Black Ops members who are not on this wavelength, then they're going to take me from this wavelength, which is going to take me from delivering a message to you that gets you on that wavelength. Because life is not pressure. The system is pressure. We can change it. We can change the conversation. We can change the narrative, and we can change what goes on around us. And people will follow that. They will hate on it. They'll attack it. And then they will follow it. And sometimes that takes 6 years. And I have stories about that. People that hurt me really bad came back to me 6 years later looking for help. And I had to be humble enough to not even talk about what they did to me and just help them. That's power. It's crazy power, strong strength power. That means you're going somewhere in this world. And what that is, I don't know what it is. But the point of this is to challenge you, to make you better humans, and to make you more supportive of those around you to do the same. And then what we can do is have a support group to help handle when negative people come at us, because it is not easy to shut that off, especially when it's family, especially when it's people close to us, because they know how to hit us. All right. But it's bullshit. Because at the end of the day, do they want you to die? Do they want you to commit suicide? Do they want you to fail? If the answer is no, then they're wrong with the way they're approaching you and speaking to you. So know that you're wrong. I'm not going to say it out loud, but you're wrong in my head, and I'm just going to go forward. And that's not easy, which is where the community of Black Ops comes into play, because we're here to support you and push you to be better. All right. So again, 2022, it's just another number, but it's a chance for you to make a serious change. If you need help with nutrition, hit us up. We have coaches, and we know what to do. We've broken it down. We understand there's different ways to do it for different individuals, but it's not a mystery. The fitness is not a mystery. We're going to get it better. We're going to make it better for all of you. That's our challenge, is to make it a better program. And so this is the final piece, right? When I see you guys getting rid of negativity, whether it's on SugarWOD, Facebook, out loud, that's going to be freaking badass. That's going to be motivating. That's going to encourage me, and it's going to encourage a lot of other people around you, and it's going to create an incredible energy in this universe. All right, guys. So challenge yourself, question yourself, and write it down. Don't listen to your own bullshit. You're the problem, and you're the solution. All right, guys, let's rock and roll.